the keys to sustainability, the why, the what, the when, where, and how to help save our world. You, me, and the rest of humanity must have a reason or a need to create a sustainable future. We must see the why we should make that considerable effort to change our way of life. Why should we invest any time or energy to being off the grid, living sustainably? Otherwise, why bother putting ourselves through all of that discomfort? To know this, we must question everything from many different perspectives to understand the why, what, when, where, and how. This is what we did in our first 82 meetings, based on my book, Beyond the Age of Ignorance, The Quest for the Truth. We can apply these questions to just about everything, past, present, and future possible solutions. Why we should, what we should, when we should, where we should, and how we should. We will not change unless we can foresee the horrifying consequences of not taking our lives into our own hands, taking responsibility for our life, others' lives, and Mother Earth's life. Just as slow-boiled frogs won't jump, most people won't change. However, change is a fundamental requirement for life itself. Life is a process of change, but we get stuck. To survive and thrive, we must force ourselves to jump, change, transform, and transition to a love-based, fair, happy, healthy, and sustainable future. The question is, can we get you to jump by telling you and showing you why you need to, what you need to know, and show you that your life depends upon it? It's like the choice in the Matrix, choosing the red pill and not the blue pill. Or even better, choosing the green pill, which is the love-based, nature and life-based solutions. Will you then make the mental and physical leap of faith and begin to change? You can only gain this awakening and make better choices by knowing, gaining the knowledge, becoming aware, self-awareness of your internal being, consciousness, being conscious of what's happening around you and your connectedness to the universe, and have the natural wisdom, seeing with enlightened eyes, perceiving the world and the environment with the awareness of evolutionary perspectives, of how it all works, and understanding what religions and politics has done, and having a historical view and seeing the discord between the natural wisdom flow of life and the unsustainable designs of men. These were the main objectives of my book, Beyond the Age of Ignorance. As you connect all of the information, you become aware of the historical trends, and you'll see what happened and why we are facing this existential crisis. To live or to die, to be or not to be. So it's really important to show the existential reasons why any sane and loving person would jump. And these are political lies for power, wars, plunder, private property ownership, fences, walls, borders, states, countries, empires, patriotism, segregation, hatred, divide and rule, divide and conquer, racism, and unreasonable hatred of others just for the sake of gaining more wealth and power, to ensure the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Private ownership of the commons. We see this with Bill Gates and these very rich people at the moment with these huge land grabs. They're just buying immense amounts of land with their unrealistic wealth. We'll look at that. We don't have land anymore to grow our own healthy, fresh foods. We're disconnected from life and nature. We exist in boxes, forced to work in unnatural jobs for money, consume products, and use technology. We're not living anymore. Where do the children play? By Cat Stevens. It's like we can create all of these things, buildings that break into the sky and whatever, but where do the children play? Where do we live? Massive population migrations are happening all over the world due to starvation, violence, and war-displaced people who exist in squatter camps and refugee camps. There's worldwide joblessness, poverty, and of course, even in the richest countries in the world, homelessness. Healthcare for the rich, unaffordable and poor quality health for the poor. We can never pay back the loan account in a debt-based economy, nor afford the constant rising living costs of living, inflation, currency devaluation, and taxes. Thus, governments, corporations, and bankers ensure we're shackled and continue in this slavery-based system. Money creators and their banks, with their private ownership of the monopolistic money systems, use it to rob us of our fundamental human rights to land, food, and water. Governments, corporations, and businesses have us enslaved to work for money, just to exist, just to survive. We are in that pot of water that's getting hotter all the time. Money is not real, it's an abstract belief system, and yet we're trapped in that system and suffer because of our blind belief and acceptance of that unwritten agreement. Money is all about monopolization of all resources by the few for the few. We're suffering the unnatural side effects of the centralized, industrialized, technological, labor and wage-based societal system, which we experience as ill health, stress, disease. Then we're trying to treat those symptoms with a pill, medication, and surgery instead of dealing with the causes of the problem before they become life-threatening diseases or maladies that need Western medicine to ease the pain, to ease our suffering. This unnatural, industrial, technological, monoculture food production, cruelty to animals and human, product production and consumption enslavement system is causing the devastation of Mother Nature all around us, which is essential for our survival. We are the offspring or the babies or whatever, the living beings which only come from that living natural mother system. One major factor is that we no longer live in natural ecosystems, in relationships with them, and ensure that life spreads out across the planet. Just being on the land means that you have to pay attention to making sure that life thrives around you and spread the plants, the seeds, the animal life, so you and other living beings have enough to survive. We forget that our garden doesn't grow unattended, and we are distracted and locked away in cities. We're not attending the garden. We're not looking after Mother Nature. We're not one with her. So we are facing mass extinction. Human existence depends upon life to sustain its existence. Loss of essential biodiversity is happening all the time. We're losing many keystone species, pollinators, and so on. Without them, we will starve because there just will not be sufficient food to go around. Pollution. City life causes extremely unnecessary pollution of many kinds: plastics, carbons, poisons, heavy metals, acids, bases. Maintenance of manicured gardens happens at an ongoing cost to the environment. Just by living in cities, just by living there, we are polluting the air, land, and water. We are building unnatural buildings with hazardous substances, paints and insulators, insecticides, pesticides, herbicides. The devastation and burning of rainforest and jungles are destroying the atmosphere. Deforestation, then monoculture agriculture, and overgrazing all result in desertification in a relatively short period of time. And then you just end up with incredible erosion and no topsoil to grow anything in. Monoculture agriculture, technology, transportation, packaging, and the use of fertilizers and poisons and herbicides and pesticides and neonicotinoids killing the insects and other destructive chemicals is killing so many species of life, including the vital microbiology of the soil, which is essential as the foundation of ensuring that we have the nutrients and life growing in the soils. Clear cutting and tilling for cropping creates loss of habitat, loss of topsoil, drainage creates dry lands, loss of groundwater, and soil erosion, which when you've lost your groundwater, there's no sucking, pumping up groundwater to water your crops anymore. It's done. You're done. There is no more water. And it just washes off because everything's been made flat and it takes all your soil and just leaves you dirt. And even that, not even that, just rocks. Global warming is caused mainly by our industrialized, centralized city way of life. And all of our practices to sustain that and the imbalances and the unnatural way it takes to make that monopolistic pyramid scheme work for the rich. I mean, can't we see that? Pollution, plastics, oil, factory, chemical wastes, nuclear waste, energy and power station pollutants, industrial and technological waste, pollutants and poisons. Industrialized commodity-based consumer societies unnecessarily create packaging and then transportation, pollutants, contaminants of the atmosphere, land, rivers, systems, and oceans. If you think of a tea bag and its process of how it gets to you in an industrial technological society, it's insane. From the printing and the packaging and the transportation and all that goes into it. When in actual fact, if you grew that green tea bush outside in your garden, you could just go and pick the leaves, and without any of those processes, none of them. And then once you finish your tea, you can just chuck the waste back into the garden or into the compost, and it's part of the process. I mean, can we not see the insanity of that? Ill health caused by nutrient deficient foods. You might think that you're eating healthy with this beautiful red apple and so on, and it's so big and delicious and whatever, but it's not really delicious. Like what we ate as children, the small little apples grown on a tree, nutrient dense, and it was like, like they were tart and they had so much vitamin C and nutrients. Oh my gosh, it was delicious. We don't have that anymore. Modern diseases are caused by this sort of nutrient deficiency and many other different processes, processed foods, sugars, salts, preservatives, and many other natural substances used to ensure that they make their profits. They keep the products on the shelves for longer periods of time, no matter at what the cost to you, the consumers. They don't care about you. They just care about making money. The list goes on and on. Unnatural lifestyles result in ill health. So when are you going to jump? All civilizations eventually collapse because they're established and developed upon contrived and artificial imbalancing principles. Cities only happen at great expense to life. They oppose nature and sustainability, natural principles and wisdom. What an enormous waste of human effort, time, and energy. Why are we doing this insanity? You've got to be insane to be part of this perpetuation of a system that is killing you and killing your world. Anyone who has lived long enough and traveled and observed the changes can see the unprecedented increases in so-called natural disasters and their increased intensities, all caused by increasing imbalances created by our way of life. Hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, rising oceans, tsunamis, earthquakes have all just astronomically increased in intensity. Now, if you wrap your mind around all of the above, then comprehend the accelerating rate at which it is getting worse. You've got to realize we live on one limited planet. Then watch the rate at which the natural planetary maintenance systems are breaking down, like the melting of the ice caps and everything that's happening. Soil erosion, desertification, and all those. And realize that something drastic needs to happen soon before it is all over. Change has to happen. And if not now, when? If not you making those changes, then who? Okay, I'll stop here. Anyone want to respond?
That's a big load of stuff, man.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. For us it is,
No, it
but
wasn't you. It's the reality. It's a big load of stuff. Yeah.
yeah, and the point is I haven't even touched the surface of the big load of stuff, you know?
Yeah. Well, therein lies, I think, some of the answer to some of your questions of why we are insane and what brought is that it's and you mentioned the slowly boiled frog reference, and I think that's what's happened to civilization and many of the societies is that it's just inching closer and closer without taking care of the things that need to be taken care of, and farther away from nature and who we are as people, and into the comfort of being irresponsible, so that here we are. And I think, what do we do? How do we handle it? Yeah, that's the big question. My comment there on the thread was about what each of us can do individually, locally. Was not about disbanding the power of groups and community, but more about whether we're in a group or not. It's still what can I do as part of that group, and I just wanted to help us remove the hugeness of the issue, because just that, whatever it was, 8, 10, 15 minutes, just it just lays out what we're up against, and it's for any human being to try to grasp with any kind of connection to it is frightening. And it's this is where we're at. So part of it, I'm going to say, is just, well, eat an elephant by taking small bites, and lots of them. Sorry, elephants. I didn't mean that as the
Bad
actual
reference, change that.
wrong image for this conversation, but yeah. But baby steps as far as what we can do on a small level, so that we feel that we are making some kind of difference, as small as it is. I'm sure you know the story about the person throwing the starfish back into the ocean, and somebody says, "Why are you doing that? There's so many thousands of them on the beach here. You're not going to make a difference." And their response was, "Well, I made a difference for that one. And for that, I feel good about what I just did." Um, so when we can have ourselves and everybody else, or as much of everybody else as we can get, making those small little choices. Let me turn off the light, of course. Let me recycle this instead of throwing it in the garbage. Let me grow the tea instead of going and buying the bags. And when those conscious choices start to happen on the individual level, whatever our level in society is, because the higher up we go, the less we are connected with um, the chain of survival, I guess is the best way to put it. So those that have to scrounge daily for their existence, um, they're closest to what we're talking about, but they're also farthest from their ability to make those changes happen, because they don't even have the means of transportation, let's say, or no property, or couldn't even buy a packet of seeds. Never mind have a plot to grow them on and then harvest them and protect them. So all of these issues just come around to the individual's ability to connect with our world and make a difference in whatever their little piece of the world is. So I think our conversation, as much as the broad stroke save the world, it's help save yourself and help save your community. And that's where I think we'll be able to grow this into any kind of global movement. But as there have been some major, call them avatars, throughout history that made a dent, and still we are where we are. And we still study Buddha and Christ, Allah, and all this, and here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to say, not taking away from the magnitude of the problem as it is, Dad, I think the speech was really great, and I really think it summed it up beautifully of, what we're up against. I mean, yes, we need to each make small differences and small changes, but, one small difference doesn't change the magnitude of the issue. We all need to do and make a sizable contribution within our means to attempt to force back those massive changes that are happening and are going to continue to happen while we live our ordinary, so-called comfortable way of life. We need to step up to the plate. We need to take charge of our lives, and we need to be independent of the systems that have forced us into the consumer world. We need to realize that, yes, we can eat from our garden. It's not dirty. It's not, going to make you ill eating from your garden, as opposed to buying these processed items from the shop. They're not any more sterile or any more clean or any more grown differently than what you would in your garden. You need to step up as humanity, step up as a human being, step up as individuals, step up as communities, and really try and take charge of the changes that you need to make. I mean, yes, we can all make one or two differences in our lives, and oh yay, I feel like, I've made progress, I'm doing something different. But you can always do more.
I think that's awesome. And,
So
and
my take on that, or why I propose that, is we're human beings and we're frail, and we need to have motivation in order to stay committed to whatever it is we're up to. And that was the perspective I was looking to introduce there. Sure, step up to as big a game as you're willing to play or capable, or let's say, and to engage the masses. They need, and I speak for them, but I speak personally as well, they need to be motivated and reinforced and acknowledge that you're on the right path and good for you. And so those little wins then start to, oh, I like this game. I like being responsible. I like feeling good about myself. Maybe I can do more today. Maybe I can volunteer an hour this week instead of just, not buying this from the store or recycling this. And that's what I was getting at is, if it's going to be a mass movement, it has to be palatable and enticing to the masses who want to play the game. And again, that little incremental gifts that we've had that took us off the path, the same ones that are going to have to bring us back. The magnanimity, I like that word, if I can say it, of what we're up to can't be this much in front of our faces that we can't see, well, how do I contribute to it? How do I do something? And I think, look, if any of us, whether it be an individual, an organization, an alien being coming down, can go, all right, in 3 weeks, this world's going to be clean. And we have the methods to do this, and this. I don't think there'd be too many people other than the greedy capitalists that would say, okay, do it. So how we get there, it still is going to take incremental thinking of of individual groups and then connected groups and then masses in order to get the momentum going. And those of us that have been involved, like in Earth Day, the 50 or so years, or close to 50 years it's been around, still see that, you can have a wonderful Earth Day and, 50 people show up at the county celebration. So there's a mentality that needs to be changed as well. And again, I think it starts with individuals, just to have them say, it's worth it for me to do this because I feel good, and feeling good what life is about. So I'm going to do more of it. At least
Yeah.
that's my on it.
Yeah, so basically we come up with two like critical things there. Is the journey has to start in very small increments and become palatable, and of course with successes and so on, and encouragement and so on, people will be encouraged to grow in their momentum towards wherever. And then of course socialization. The more people that are doing it and working together, the more people are inspired to follow the leaders or to be part of it. And therefore many organizations or many places where it's happening, where you can feel like you're part of community and build together, because building together is the most the easiest way to get there. But to achieve your transition as soon as we can, you must have a vision. Like it's like, if we don't know where we're going, all right, as a greater thing, then what happens is we put in our effort, and this group goes off in this direction, and this group goes off in that direction, and we're all heading somewhere, but nobody's getting to that ultimate place. So a vision of a fair, equitable, happy, healthy, and sustainable future, like we're all like, that's what we've got in mind. And whatever our roots, as long as we know that that's the place we want to get, a love-based society, if we're heading in that direction, we're going to get there. But if we're just randomly like, oh, okay, well, whatever, and it's not with that restoring nature, getting to that place, then you put some carrots in the garden, you grow them, and it's like, yeah, I grew them, and bam, that's the end of it. You eat the crop, and then you're done. What have you achieved? Well, you've taken some
Well,
nutrients
yeah,
out this.
I hear that, and I agree. There's got to be a community in order for the trend to happen and for the shift to happen. I wasn't saying just do your little thing and feel good about it. It's that feel good about it is what has people say, yeah, I want to attach to that vision because I like the little things that lead me towards that. So yeah, I wasn't discounting the large vision at all. It's keep that in mind as you do the little things. And then again, if you're getting satisfaction and acknowledgement, you want to play a bigger game. Not as true, but let's hope it tends that way.
No, I'm not countering what you said. I'm saying
Yeah.
that is like critical, because getting people on the bus and getting them heading in that direction, that's a fine art. That really is a skill, and without love and caring and nurturing and getting them to encourage to do anything, there is nothing will happen in the end without all of the steps along the way. But I was just adding in that extra point that unless we have that vision, which is what basically I'm like a top-down type of guy. I'm like that alien in space, and I'm looking down. I'm saying, okay, humans, this is what the problem is. These are the solutions, and to do so, you have to have a vision, a mission, and a purpose. It's like, otherwise, you're never going to get there. So I'm like looking down from the clouds. I'm that sort of like woo guy out there. But the practicality of it is what you're saying. Not you're saying, okay, Dennis, okay, if we're going to do this, this is how we need to start out, and this is what we need to do to get everyone on board and to keep them and encourage them and get them to do this. But so for me, that's maybe my sort of weakness, because I'm just like, I'm still out there in the clouds, from my last
Well,
background.
yeah. I mean, I think you and I agree that a vision without action is just a dream. Right? That's a phrase that I didn't create, but I think it works pretty well. Um, just the past couple of days, something came up about the U.S. government. Now, I'm not going to use them as the template for the world, but we are a pretty big mover shaker of what happens in the world. And the Green New Deal and the Build Better Back initiatives that came out of the Biden administration, let's say, all are consistent and aligned with what you and I are talking. How do we make a better infrastructure? How do we care for more people? How do we shift from the economy we've been in into a greener type of society? The article said Green New Deal still on hold. Biden signs off on $76 billion for the military funding. And those are the two things that we have going here, right? And it's like take one step forward and 15 steps back as far as, giving almost $1 trillion to the military. And we wonder, how can people choose that over what we're talking about, which is create a better world and a more sustainable world and a less polluting world. So even at the level of the U.S. government and an administration that supposedly is progressive, we don't know where they're progressing to. They have the label, but I'm not happy where the progress where military gets funded instantaneously for more than they ask for. And the Green New Deal and the infrastructure gets scuttled because of little skirmishes about, do we give people, a month off when they have a child in the family, or, some other kind of thing that makes absolute sense. How do we better societies? Have engaged parents, not disconnected parents who send the kids off and get propagandized from wherever they happen to send them because that's where they live and it's easy, or they can't afford. So I hear you, and that even that vision in the U.S. is so diluted and constantly attacked from various competing sides. And you know that there are some very negative visions being proposed in this country, and for no other reason. And I like that better. It doesn't make sense, but
Oh my gosh! To me, it's like absolute clarity. Like you bring up the need to further maintain and sustain and expand power of the U.S. empire, because it is an empire. It's literally expanded to just about every country in the world, and it's done economically and through media and all sorts of things. It's really this worldwide overthrow of the economies of the world and the countries of the world, and it's insidious because of the way they're doing it. And now big empires is turning around and saying, "Hey, dudes, enough now. You've got to stop this because we're going to fight back for our empire." And so it really is the fight, or this continuous human battle for ownership and power and empires. And for them, it's not a question to throw more money into expanding and furthering empire. It's just like, we need the military and we need to go and kill those people to take their stuff. Well, then we'll do that. That is their first priority as governments and empires. It's like the idea that we wouldn't have that separation to further power, that we would live in an equitable world where there are no walls, borders, fences, empires, countries, where all of that wasn't in existence. We actually lived for Mother Nature, for life on the planet.
Yep.
Is not even a question within their minds. It's like, if we don't have the power, we can't do whatever we want. But the power becomes the reason why you can't do what you want.
right.
It's insane.
Yeah. So we're not naive to, of course, and neither of us have the ultimate answer. Well, actually, we may have the answer. We just may not know how to get to the solution to implement it. But yeah, we see these trends, and in some ways, you and I are talking, and this group is talking about back to the garden, not naively, like, yeah, let's just create Eden again. It's like, well, we had Eden, and as a race, as an entity on this planet, we've moved farther and farther away from it, and Eden is now synonymous with our resources instead of our paradigm.
Yeah.
So these are the trends that Help Save Our World is up to. Or we're up against, rather, not up to, but we're up against. And you know that the drift of society, the force that this has created in the world is where we're at today with, I don't know, almost 200 countries. I don't know how many there are, very few of which feel safe about their neighbors or the larger countries in the world. And of course, the trend in the world is to consume, consume, consume as the answer to everything. And we get that it's not. It'd be nice if we consumed education as much as we do junk toys from China or tech stuff, anything that streams on the web that, oh, great, let me look at this latest time waster, rather than something that enhances our minds and connects us to each other. So again, Dennis, I don't have the answer. I know a lot of what we're doing here is being in the question with some possibilities that will lead us towards where we want to go. In some ways, we are that little individual that's making whatever dent we're capable of doing, and when we can, we up our level quite a bit in order to make a bigger difference. And the reason I'm still here is because I'm not giving up on it. You're not giving up on it. We just got to keep on finding a way to promote it, because once the ember dies, civilization as we know it dies, and the world as we know it. I mean, we have the biggest billionaires in the world on a race to see how they can get up in space farther than the other one. Like, why? Why do we need 3,000 satellites circling the globe? It's like, that is not. So it's not the world I choose to live in and that I'm going to promote. But even in my small way, every time I order something from Amazon, I wince, but I also get it because I'm contributing to some other power being able to do their nonsense that I don't agree with. So we've constantly done that as in a civilization. We're giving up some of our freedom and our beauty in order to get a little comfort or speed or whatever it might be that satisfies us more than doing a good deed. My speed.
Yeah. In so many ways, it's insane. It's like, it's one of the first things they do in the military. They demonize and create hatred for the other, the foreigners, the whatever, I don't know, all of the different groups of people that are called groups of people, but they are all individual people with individual hopes and needs and desires and everything. So how can you hate them as a group, because they're not all the same? But so it's only by divide and rule and that spreading of hatred of the other that they create segregation and racism and all these things. And that also, with walls, bars and fences, with that principle, creates patriotism. Like, we are loyal to our own, with our own borders. And that's absolute, like, it's a mental construct, it's an illusion, it's lies, it's not. We are one family of life on this planet, and the planet itself is one living organism of which we are part. We are all connected beings within this living organism, and without all of the other organisms and without everything all being connected and thriving, we don't thrive. And so it's like the lies, the political lies, and and us believing them and playing that game, believing in their values and beliefs of hatred and segregation and all these things, is what gets us to this place. If we change that, of course, which we are taught in Beyond the Age of Ignorance, is We change it to a love-based society where, like you said, it's all about relationships. It is all about us reconnecting and not believing the lies. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, everything changes. But how do you get that to the people is ultimately, I mean, because I've been talking about it my
Well,
whole life, sharing my whole life, and it's not made any seem to made any difference. Although I
there's
haven't.
the question is how do you get it to the people? And of course, that's what we're talking about: is how do we grow this concept and vision so that other people's take it as their own, right? They take ownership of the vision, not just hear about it. And you and I know very well the propaganda machines that are run by the mega companies and the huge amounts of money behind it. And as they said in the early days of the web, but also it applies to TV as well. How many eyeballs do you have, right? How many people are watching you right now? So the Nielsen ratings were a way to prove that something's working, right? Your show is a good show because you got people tuning in. We are constantly giving information to these marketers about, and we give it willingly as part of the policy in order to use their website or their app. It's like, you agree that we can do this and this and this and this and this and this with your presence on our website. And what do they call behavioral marketing? I think it is. And they just want to see what's working for us to be able to manipulate that person more, and they sell that to everybody that wants to buy it. So sometimes the websites make more money off of selling data than they do off of their product, or they give it away for free because you're going to take something for free and you don't realize what you're giving up in the process. So the point is not about how media and information technology manipulates people. It's that we are manipulated constantly, and there are huge organizations that are doing this, and way more powerful than you and I. So it's not that we can't continue to do something like this, but how do we take something like this and make it equal to a trend without playing their game? It's like, how do you beat somebody at war without being warring?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
negotiation. And,
walking the other way. No, just
yeah.
leaving,
So
running, return.
these days nobody trusts that anything will work. Well, let me take that back. A lot of people don't trust. It reminds me of a guy that used to say, a lot of people have told me. He had no evidence, but that was just his phrase to make you believe that what he's about to say had some merit.
Yeah,
Um, so I think these are the things that people are subliminally aware of. Like, I don't have any skin in this game. I'm just a pawn. And for me to get skin in the game, I'll have to give up everything that I believe who I am in order to be able to make some impact at all. And I don't think a lot of people in this planet are willing to do that. They're willing to cede that and say, you know what, let me just live the most pleasant life I can at the moment. Um,
yeah.
but
Like I said, that's a fatal mistake. It's like you're on a ship that's sinking, and let's just make myself as comfortable as possible. Why don't you go and collect a few chairs, tie them together, and then you can float and survive, until somebody comes to save you, I mean,
yeah,
uh, um, are you just gonna be the I don't know if it's heroism or stupidity or whatever. It's like, why not try? Um, so uh, I'm just gonna go through a little section and we'll call it a day. It's like so otherwise it's going to seem disjointed when we get to that next week. Is that all right? So you must have a desire to imagine, design, and develop whatever it is that you're going to create, or nothing happens. Only by choosing it, focusing on it, and then practicing it, you create, maintain, and sustain it. To do this, you need knowledge, skills, you need the natural wisdom and the fundamental love-based values and beliefs required to ensure sustainability. You need the ethics, the code of conduct. I mean, you can't live in communities together if you have no mutual respect and love and caring and sharing and whatever conduct by which to live. You need to be efficient and effective at what you do to reach the goals as soon as possible. You're working towards a projected timeline for each project. This is so important. If you just sort of like randomly, and we'll try again tomorrow and whatever, you'll never achieve what you're trying to achieve. And now consistency, checking in with your progress and direction of focus all the time, it's really important. Like, is what I'm doing beneficial? Is it getting us closer to where we want to go? Am I learning what I need? If like everything goes to hell, will I be better prepared to be able to survive in the collapse of a civilization or an economic system or whatever? So, I mean, even things like foraging and learning how to grow stuff again and just focusing on all these things that I've been doing are essential skills that I will need if everything falls apart. Then come up with a plan of how you're going to get to where you are and design well with your vision and purpose in mind. So fundamental to all of this is to make it your mission to bring about real change in human education. Because like to me that is like the core which we are focusing on, have been focusing on without realizing it, and need to focus on more. It's like we need to get the books and children's books and the videos and get everything out there and promote them. Like, of course, that's like a really, really big point. I'm terrible at promoting myself. And I need to step up. That's my big weakness now. I mean, if we want to reach people, we have to reach them, you know. So I have to work on that. And ideally, this education that we create, this would be a life's education, like teaching people in STEVEs, what I call STEVEs, which is Sustainable Teaching Eco-Villages, decentralized, sustainable living communities, living spread out on the land and spreading life around them and creating communities and building these ecosystems from centralized hubs spread out all around the world. So where you grow and nurture life and nature around you. It's so important. It's like the sun shines, plants grow, we eat the plants, we grow. Plants capture energy from the sun and the moon, the stars, the universe, which we assimilate into our bodies, and life gives life to life. We are composed of the energy of the sun, the moon, the stars, the galaxies, and it's life that captures that for us. I mean, we capture a bit of vitamin D and so on, which strengthens our bones and keeps us healthy and stops us getting depressed. But really where that energy is captured and given to us is through life, plant life, animal life all around us. So sustainability requires living within the renewable natural systems, looking after the soil, the water, the food, and the growth of life. Without life, we have nothing. So, and also with our currently available knowledge, skills, and wisdom, you can improve upon all of these natural systems to make them very productive. And we see that in permaculture and natural agriculture and ways in which we can produce so much more biodiversity and food within small communities than they can produce in these huge tracts of cornfields or whatever that they currently use technological help to do. So we must ensure that we live within the living, growing system's capacity to sustain itself naturally, and that we are constantly checking in with the balances of nature around us. I think of Egypt and places like that where the overconsumption just denuded the area, got rid of the rainforests that were there and turned it into deserts. If we need to move, we must. So, if you are over-consuming and destroying an area, then it's time to spread out even more. Because when nature collapses, so do we. I'm going to stop there. Alex?
I do want to say that, yeah, that's awesome, Dad. I think that really sets the tone for the next few sets of videos. And Kurt, by no means was I trying to undermine what you were trying to say earlier with regards to, taking it in small bites. I was just trying to add on to it. So please forgive me if my tone was incorrect. Yeah, awesome.
Awesome, guys. It was fantastic. Thank you so much for your effort and in attending and everything. I put a lot of effort to getting other people to attend last week, but I didn't put any effort in this week, and of course it shows. But it doesn't make any of our meetings any less significant. I mean, this is going to go online, and I'm going to put it out there to people who might want to watch it and so on. So, like you say, little bites. Somebody might look at this video and say, wow, that's really, what I needed to know. So we're not doing this in vain. We're getting there. We're growing. We've come a long way.
Hey, that is, there are companies that spend tens of millions of dollars to get a minute or two during Super Bowl to get themselves known, right? And they spend another many millions of dollars in creating the ad that they can throw in front of a bunch of people who happen to be watching. And I don't know what their expectations is of how many people will end up taking action and buying their product or even being aware of it. But that's kind of the stuff that we're up against with, at least in this country, is like bombard them with advertising and, show up everywhere on their screen, no matter what page they go to. So we're in a whole different world of marketing and propagandizing than you and I even grew up in. And we were part of that world that was growing exponentially about how do we make propaganda? How do we codify, quantify it? And that's what we're up against. So that's kind of why I say we have to hit people where their local heart is, because you and I are not set up right yet to blanket the world with a concept that will filter down into people and they'll say, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the formula we're looking for.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Des.
Sorry, I think that's the formula we're looking for, but maybe we're not really missing the point. We I don't know. Maybe we are. I don't know.
Well, look, there are barn stores. There's the yellow and green market here, where a small community of people years ago started sell their vegetables in kind of a cooperative situation. Of course, with one main person taking the rent. So, and there are a lot of organic restaurants happening, and there are little things popping up all over the place. So, there's still that grassroots action towards let's continue to promote this concept of sustainability and organics and community and connection. And, South Florida has a pretty active, I'm going to say, spiritual community that is aligned with what you and I are up to, at least with, and all of us with Help Save Our World. And yet it's not as prevalent as you would think it should be. Or could be, given what the topic is and what's at stake. So those are the things that we're kind of up against as we do what we do. And look, even I know all of us know about Sadhguru and the impact he's having on at least his country of India, with the rivers and lots of other things. And he's got millions and millions of followers. And yet India is still India, and they have the atomic bomb, and they have the caste system, and they have all kinds of pollution issues and famine issues. And, so whatever we do, it's, I used to tell a group of my staff, I say, aim for perfection and accept excellence. I think that's kind of what we have to do, right? Our vision is the absolute best possible world we can imagine. And we'll aim for that, and we get to accept whatever impact we have in the time that we have on this planet to make that happen.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff.
See you
All right,
next week.
thank you. Yeah, no, time is up. Thank you very, very much for being here. Really appreciate your incredible input, both of you.
I come just
and-
to be out. I don't know. That's the only reason I show up.
Yeah, we've been missing that smile.
There it is. The grin is
I apologize. Alex has really sort of been not well, so just to be here, she's making an immense effort. So
and I'm showing her my little piece of hello, little aloha spirit. Yes.
there you go.
Okay,
All
guys.
right, thanks.
Stay
Thanks,
well.
guys. Go well. Cheers.
Cheers, bye.